What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the greatest podcast in the world, Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I am your host, the truth, the dad bod god, the bald, the beard, the fucking beautiful, ladies and gentlemen, Piers, motherfucking Austin. And tonight, we got a special one for you guys, man. I got my good friend, my buddy, Big Ray Hernandez in the building. If you don't know Big Ray is a podcaster. He's a journalist. He's a pro wrestling pundit. And he's one hell of an entertaining motherfucker. And you guys are in for an absolute treat tonight. And this conversation is going to be absolutely epic. But before we get into that, I need to take a quick pause for that cause, baby. And thank one of our amazing sponsors. And that is Sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, Sleefs.com. Listen, if you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to go and check out Sleefs, baby. They got all your athletic wear and gear covered. They've got your armbands, your compression shorts, your compression pants, your headbands, your boots, mouth guards, and they've even got those dirty boxes that you know I'm always rocking. Seriously, these dirty boxes are the best boxes that I own. They stay dry, they stay fresh. They've got funky designs on the front of them. So when the belt buckle comes undone at the end of the day, Mrs. Austin is laughing on what's on the front of the boxes, not what's inside them. Hey, I know, a bad dick joke, but anyway, I proceed anyway, we move forward. But listen, go and check out those dirty boxes at sleeps.com. And while you're there, use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. Also, wherever you are finding us, if you are tuning in on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified, because you know I'm bringing you the best conversations in the world, from professional wrestling, from podcasters to MMA fighters to boxers to Muay Thai fighters to comedians to musicians to rappers, you name it. We bring it here. So you know you're getting the best entertainment you can in the world, baby. And that's no bullshit. And listen, if you're listening on a podcast platform, give me a 5-star review. It helps with our analytics, and it helps us bring more amazing content to more amazing people like yourselves. So get to clicking and get in to tapping into the Piers Austin experience, baby, because you know you ain't going to be disappointed. But without further ado, let's get into my conversation with my big homie, Big Ray Hernandez, baby. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. And I am with one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I know I say that about everyone I bring on this podcast, but this time I actually mean it. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Big Ray Hernandez. Welcome to the show, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the pundit of the people, the man with the plan, Big Ray, here to stay to talk with Piers Austin and some lucha libre today. That's your Spanish lesson, by the way. I am excited. I've wanted to do this for like a long time with you, Piers. I mean, how long has it been, Piers? I mean, we've known each other, what, like 2 years, 3 years now? What is it, 4 years?
Probably
another life, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, bro. 3 years, man. Like, and dude, we've been talking about this for like, I feel like about 8 months. Just trying to like tee up a time to do this, which is crazy, man, because like of our schedules being so different, like you being over in the States, me being in Australia, like different time zones. But man, it's great to finally do this, man. It's great to actually have you on my platform. I've been on the Hameen Media Group a bunch of time on the NXT Next Level with you and the Vet, bro. And I always have a good time with you guys, man. And I had Vet on here not too long ago, bro. We had a great chat, me and Vet, bro. So I know this is going to be just as cool, man.
Yeah, well, the Vet is actually one of my very favorite people. I always tell the Vet the only reason we do the Next Level Wrestling review is because number one, I hate NXT. I think
Yeah.
it's horrible. Well, there's certain aspects of it I do like, but the only reason I really enjoy doing, excuse me, the show is number one to talk with the vet once a week because he's
Mm.
legit like awesome, and number two, our interaction with the chat, who we've developed like this really cool family in HMG that
Yeah,
are
man.
super supportive, extremely smart. Sometimes they're dickheads. Yes, am I allowed to curse here? I forget.
Yeah, bro, absolutely. I was
All right.
cussing all the way through my intro. Come on,
Oh,
man.
wonderful. No, but yeah, man, and this is the whole thing about podcasting, YouTubing, creating a community, and we could talk a little bit about like I would love your audience to get to know me just a little bit.
Absolutely, man.
So yeah, man, I'm excited to do this, man. Like I said, it has been almost a year, and our schedules are crazy. I mean, like you said, you're an Aussie, I'm from New York, and it's just like it's hard to figure things out. But I had a couple of days off, and I'm here, man.
Yeah, man. No, I appreciate you, man. And dude, like you actually started Hameen Media Group with Bin Hameen,
Mhm.
man. And
Yeah.
and for anyone who may not know who Bin Hameen is, he's been someone who, I've been very open in saying that I look at Bin as kind of like a mentor and someone
Yeah.
who I go to for advice, not just in the podcast world, but also like once I started breaking into the pro wrestling world, he's always been the first person I go to, the first person I send a promo to. Hey, can you give me some advice? Can you please look at this? I value his opinion because like he is so tuned into the business, and I feel like you are as well, man. Like both you and Ben are on a different level, and you see this business in a different way.
Well, for your audience, I was born and raised in the business. My father was a professional wrestler. He wrestled up and down the East Coast. He used to work for oh God, what's the name of the promo? Valentino. He was an East Coast promoter, and they would lend out wrestlers to Puerto Rico, and my father would go there, Florida, Pittsburgh, so on and so forth, all the way up and down the East Coast, New York, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And my father, I was very young when my father was wrestling. Before that, my father was actually trained under the Hall of Fame cut man, who was a trainer at the time, Al Gavin. My father fought in the old Madison Square Garden. My father was a light heavyweight contender. Yeah. So he was a professional boxer. So I grew up around locker rooms. I grew up around pro fighters. I fought amateur myself. I used to wrestle a little in high school, football, basketball, baseball. I was a jack of all trades. I tried wrestling. Now I got this. I have the size. Now back then, I got to tell you something real quick. This is really funny, Piers. I'm 6'1". I'm a pretty big guy, and my dad was like, I don't know, he's calling me Pops. I don't know, Pops. I think you might be a little too small for wrestling.
Really?
Bro, we're talking about the early '80s.
So, but how big was your old man? Like,
Oh, my dad
he?
was a bear. He was about 6'3", like 250. As he got older, he shrunk a little bit.
Cool. Yeah, that
You
happens.
know, yeah, he got down to about my height with about 6'1". But my dad was a bear, man. He used to be I should have sent you the pictures. His moniker, he was the El Leñador. He was the lumberjack. He was a heel, and he was one of the best people on this earth. He was also a pastor.
Really?
Yeah, he was a minister, man. My father's my freaking hero, dude.
Dude, you know what I find funny?
What's
And
that?
like, and this is something I've seen it since being more and more involved in the business,
Mm.
is the best heels in the business. Like you said, your dad was a heel, but also the greatest people in the world. And you know what? The best heels in the world are usually the most fucking nicest people.
Look at Stevie Richards.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I don't want to embarrass the guy, but he's legit one of the sweetest, kindest, genuine, honest people I think I've ever met or had. Another guy
I agree.
who I'm gonna put over, and a lot of people in the business, they don't get him, but it's and he's my close friend, Big Vito LaGrasso.
Yeah, man.
Bro, have you ever spoken with him?
I have, man. I have. I had him on early in my podcast career, like probably in the first 12 months. And because of like the connection with Angel,
Right.
when we're doing Wrestling with Tragedy, and I got in there and I had Big Vito on, and Big Vito is a character, man. And you have to like, you know what I mean? I feel like I kind of feel like he's always working, you know what I mean? Like to a certain extent, like he's so charismatic that I just feels like he's always working.
When me and my wife went down to Florida to meet them for the first time, well, for her to meet them for the first time, Vito came walking up, and my wife, my wife is awesome, by the way. She's a beautiful
Mm.
person, and she loves people, but it takes her a while to kind of get, open up to people and feel comfortable around people.
Yeah.
Immediately, bro. As soon as Big Vito, he comes walking over. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Jen, my bestie. Legit.
Yeah.
Jennifer just melted. She's like, oh, I love this guy.
Yeah.
I love him. And she didn't even know him.
Mm.
And as she's gotten to know him, I don't know if you see them interacting on Facebook, Piers, but
Yeah, like here and there.
my
Like,
bestie here, my bestie there, hugs here, and I'm the same way with his wife Noelle.
yeah.
Vito is one of the most
She's
wonderful,
a real sweetheart though.
bro.
Like
Noelle.
I've never spoken with her, but like just the interactions, and I see
Oh,
just how she defends her man. Like, man, she's a real one, bro. Like she's a real one, bro. Like like how these marks come at her, like
yeah,
like him,
yeah.
and then she's the one fucking firing back. I'm like, yeah, bro, I respect that. That's a like straight up down one. You know what I mean? Like, got your man's back. That's cool as fuck, bro.
I got to tell you, that's one person. That is one person you should definitely have a conversation. Remember, she was in the wrestling business.
Yeah, I mean, she
She
was
is,
wrestling on the East Coast, like I think in like the combat zone
yeah,
wrestling. She was around that East Coast thing, yeah, like Boogaloo's like time, like down at the East Coast and stuff like that, like through Brooklyn, New York, I
yeah,
think, wasn't it? Yeah,
yeah, man. All over the East Coast, basically, and that's where she met Vito, and they fell in love, and they got married, and then just like I think it was a month after they got married, she had a stroke that almost killed her, and this is why she sits in a wheelchair. She has to use a walker. She has all the. I would love her to tell you this story, but it's out
yeah.
there. It's out there.
Yeah.
She's talked about it 1,000 times.
I've seen their podcast, that like bits and pieces of stuff that they've done over the years, man. Like when we were all on Russo's brand together, and bro, like to be honest, like Big Vito was kind of like he helped catapult wrestling with tragedy to Russo's brand. You know what I mean? Like because of the connection with Angel, he sort of did that. So, you know what I mean? He didn't know me or the other guy. He just knew Angel, and it was like,
Right.
all right, like he went and vouched for us, man. That was huge.
I'm gonna tell you something. Vito is so freaking giving. He's so giving. He's so kind. He's so good. And you say that, yeah, he's working. It is who he is, like legit.
Yeah.
I can't FaceTime the guy with like, hey, what's going on? I gotta go gym, tan, laundry, all this shit. I'm like, all right, V, all right. But it's him. It's really who he is. But I want to and I have to also put over a person who is now my father's my hero, but you say that Ben Hameen is your what did you call him? More or less like your
mentor.
Like a mentor.
Yeah.
A person who mentored me shortly after my father's death is Bill Apter. I worked with Bill Apter, and I helped him run OneWrestling.com for almost a decade. Running the website, helping him run the website. I basically was in charge of the YouTube, the entire YouTube video. And this is back in the day when we didn't have easy stuff like my MacBook and StreamYard and stuff. It took 4 or 5 hours to produce a 1-hour video back then, brother. You know what I mean?
Well, that'd be intense.
Oh shit, bro. You have no idea how bad it was. To go live was not even really a thing back then. But we figured it out. We used Google Hangouts or some shit.
Yeah. Like, dude, I think I came in, like I've always just used like StreamYard, which is the software we're using now. And like that's all I've known since I've been a podcaster. And
right.
It's just like
this is easy, bro.
But you know what? Like I don't know about you, bro, but like since doing this shit, right? Like I've gone from going, okay, so getting like a cheap $30 mic, or having no mic, just having like earbuds or whatever, and then getting a $30 mic, going, nah, that's shit. So I've got to upgrade to a Rode mic. Then I'm going, you know what? I need a Rodecaster. I need I need a proper mic. And then and now like I'm going, you know what? I need to move into a studio. Like I need face-to-face interviews, bro. Like this needs to step up.
You know what I mean? You know what's funny? Behind that wall, if you knock it down, it's just like tons of naked women just rubbing each other with oil. I know what's going on back there, brother. It's soundproof shit.
Hey man, I'm a happily married man, dude.
Like, so am I. Doesn't mean you can't look at oiled up women, brother. No, I hope my wife doesn't hear that.
But no, man, like that's the one thing I feel like a lot of people in the wrestling business, and I've said this before, man, like the entertainment world, like the arts, if you want to call it that,
Mm.
people have this weird thing with wrestling where it's like they think that, like, I don't know, it's like almost like it's not respected as a form of entertainment. Like, for example, like a wrestler who to go out there and to be like a heel and wanted to push the limit and maybe sort of go on a certain level of tyrant, which may not be PC,
Mhm.
just to get that heat. But like they can't do that because the fans would turn around and shit on it. And it's like, and I feel like wrestling maybe listens to that. But then again, like that makes that performer, people go, oh, that person's like he's a shit person or she's a shit
Right.
person because they said that in character. But it's not like you go up to Al Pacino and go, hey man, in Godfather the fucking 2, you fucking whack your own brother, you're a piece of shit. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Bro, I get what you're saying, man. I don't know if the mainstream fully ever understood what kayfabe really was or is.
mm,
Even wrestling fans nowadays. Let me tell you something, brother. The wrestling fans now are not what they were. And this, I'm going to sound like an old man. I'm almost 50 years old, brother. I'm 47. I've been doing this for a long time. By the way, I've been running podcast platforms and YouTube platforms behind the scene or on air since 2008 or 9.
that's wild, bro. That's some OG shit.
Like behind the scenes though, like working with guys like the PW Hustle Network, working with onewrestling.com, Wrestle Zone, which is a whole story on its own. I worked with this, I forgot, dude. I've worked with so many platforms, and I've seen the evolution or the de-evolution of pro wrestling fans. I like to say
Mm,
de-evolution because I don't think people appreciate the good stuff, and then the shitty shit they want to put over. I just
yeah.
I don't understand that. It's like they want to put over this flippity doodah shit for what? Because it's anti-establishment. Like it's not supposed to be good, so we're gonna support it.
I think it's because it's like it's when and you look at it, it's the current style of indie wrestling, like the high spot stuff, and I feel like to a certain extent that style of wrestling has a place, but not every match on the card. And I've always said this: wrestling needs to be like a buffet, where
Yeah,
women's or the tag match, but you may enjoy the women's match. You may not like the hardcore match, but you might really like the fucking high flying. You know what I mean? Like you should
yeah.
at least have something to cater to the audience. And I feel like that style of match, there is a fan base for it. And yes, it should be catered to, but I think like sometimes it's just oversaturated.
Well, I mean, you've probably said this 1,000 times on your platform, but I came up watching wrestling. Like my first experience or memory of wrestling, I wasn't allowed to see my father wrestle for some time because back then, you couldn't take kids to wrestling. It was all, cigars and cigarettes and
Yeah.
liquor and beer and people fighting in the stands. It was a really roughneck type of crowd, almost like the old MMA crowd.
Yeah.
Like from UFC 1 on, UFC to UFC 10, like everything evolved from that point in the junction. And by the way, I love MMA as well. Big shout out to my boy, Bulletproof Blake Troop. That's my man. I love
Yeah.
that guy.
Dude, I'm a huge MMA fan too, bro. Like
Oh,
I
I love
love
it.
this sport.
I love it. And just like MMA, people cannot differentiate between, sport and entertainment, fighting and mixed martial arts.
Yep.
They want to bury mixed martial arts, a human cockfight. I remember back in the day, they couldn't bring it to New York because we had this jabroni here that, I forgot who he was, but he was totally like against, oh, it's a human cockfight. You have no idea the chess match that is
Mm.
going on in that octagon or in that cage. It's a thing of beauty to me, bro.
But it's interesting. Like I saw a post recently, like Alexander Volkanovski, right? Pound for pound, the greatest fighter in the world at the moment, arguably. And he is from like basically 20 minutes from my house, like maybe half hour, 40-minute drive from my house,
Right.
in a place called Wollongong. Now, the mayor of Wollongong said, why don't you recognize him? He's the featherweight champion of the world for the UFC. like you should give him the key to the city or recognize him in some way. And he said, no, he is a cage fighter. And if I recognize someone like him, like, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. And I'm like, bro, really? He's a worldwide phenomenon who is a fucking goat at his fucking craft. And you're not going to recognize, like, if he was a pro boxer, would it be a different story?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I would love him. I would love to sit him down and have him watch. By the way, my favorite fighter, my favorite MMA fighter all time is George St. Pierre. That's my guy. He's always been my guy. Okay, whatever.
BJ Penn.
Oh, okay. I respect it. BJ Penn is a great fighter, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with either or. But I think the beauty and grace and power and the ability of GSP, man. For me personally, I know you have this goat and that goat. For me, this is my goat, bro.
It's subjective, bro.
Yeah, it's the different. It's the LeBron James, Michael Jordan conversation, which is, I believe, it's not even a conversation.
No.
I think there's more of a conversation between somebody like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. That's more of a conversation for me. But anyway, back to the original topic, because we're kind of veering off. Yeah, dude, like, you know, these fans nowadays, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I try to understand. Let's talk about AEW real quick, if you don't mind. I don't know if you have anything. So AEW is a company that I was rooting for in the beginning. By the way, I'm a huge TNA fan, and I grew up, like I said, and I'll rewind even further back. My first recollection of professional wrestling wasn't my dad. It was actually watching AWA wrestling in New York.
Yeah,
on Channel 11, and the first wrestler I remember watching on TV was this guy named Sergeant Slaughter, which I'll mark out. The guy follows me on social media, and we follow each other, and he's so interactive and just a lovely individual. Yeah. But and I was like, wow, what is this? You know, and I didn't even know my dad did that. I just knew my dad was strong.
Yeah.
You know, and I knew my dad would have bruises and you know, and I tried the wrestling thing. I told you I tried it, right?
Yeah, you told me a while back. Like, so what happened there? Like, where did you go and start training? Like, did your dad was your dad aware of it? Was he like, did he endorse it? Like,
of course.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. So my father, he trained my brother. My brother Ricky also fought pro for some time. And my brother Willie was just a street fighter. That's a story for another day. But I love the sweet science. I love boxing, and it was between boxing and wrestling, and I thought wrestling was cool. So my dad took me into the old Gleason's gym. You know Johnny Rods, right?
Yeah, I know him well. Yeah.
So Johnny Rods knows my father forever. Even now, I think of Johnny. Well, we saw each other on Facebook. The only reason I think he accepted my friend request is because I look just like my dad, and I think he realized it was me. So anyway,
he's a crack up, man, Johnny.
Johnny's an awesome guy. Yeah. My father took me into a boxing ring because that's what they had then, to learn how to take bumps. Yeah.
Yo.
I did it for a couple of weeks, bro, and I was like, this shit is hard, man. Now I have the ability to front roll, you know, take back bumps. I know how to throw punches. Yeah. I can do the basics, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go this way. I like boxing better. And I this is gonna sound crazy, but I love the sweet science so much. I love boxing so much, and I took to it better than I think I would have. I don't know if I was, like my dad said, big enough. I felt kind of discouraged, you know, at the time. And maybe he was just testing me. He never really told me why he discouraged me. Maybe he knew that there was really no money in it.
Yeah.
You know,
or maybe as well, like, because he's probably seen how the business was and also how cutthroat it was. And
it's always carny, bro. Always bullshit.
Yeah.
Always bullshit. And I tried it for some time, and it was hard, dude. It was really, really fucking hard. You know, running the ropes, people see the you know, pro wrestlers, you know, going back and forth, and you know, the 3 steps across, 3 steps across, and it's just like, oh, it's easy. It's not fucking easy. It's like running through quicksand. You ever ran in the wrestling ring?
Yeah, I have.
All right, so describe me the first time and how weird it was when running in a ring that has a little give. There's the mat, you know, and if depending on the quality of the ring, you know, it could be a little loose and shit. It's not easy.
bro, you trip yourself up. Like, all right, funny story, right?
Mm.
Probably a few months back, I was on a show. I'm ring announcing, and one of the wrestlers had these tearaway pants on, but he couldn't get them off over his boot. So the referee's trying to help him. He's like, Piers, oh, come give him a hand. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I've done that. And like, I've helped him out. Now there's the ring is there. Then there's a stage. And then there was like a little platform just in between them. Right. So I've gone to try and step, dark show. My leg has gone between the platform. I've face planted in front of a room of like 250 people.
That's
fantastic. And the
fantastic.
photographer comes running over. She's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. I go, I just want everyone to leave now because I'm embarrassed as fuck. And she's like, it's first match. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And I stood up and it was like pop of the night.
Good, man. You got over, dude.
And yeah, like it was just like the laughing thing of the crowd. Like I just next time I got in there, I was like, yeah, anyone else falling in front of 250 people? And everyone laughed. I was like, yeah, me neither. Anyway, let's go.
That's fun, man. That's fun. Let me tell you something, bro. There's nothing wrong with falling. It's all about getting back up. Just, the fact that you got up and just continue to do your job. Not too many of these kids nowadays know anything about that. And let's get back on track to the original conversation about AEW and their fan base. I'm going to ask you a question, and this is so weird being on this side.
Yeah.
Like, because usually I'm so used to hosting and interviewing people.
Yeah.
By the way, one of my favorite interviews, and I know I'm going off track again. I had two of my favorite interviews. One of them was with JJ Dillon, who was
really,
yeah, man. I got to sit right in front of the man and just talk. And I remember when I first the first thing I said was, I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here in front of one of the greatest managers of all time, Mr. JJ Dillon, Four Horsemen, right? And I gave him the mic, and he goes, I'm glad you said that. He goes, I'm glad you said I'm one of them, because usually when I'm being interviewed, they say the greatest manager of all time, and that's bullshit. He goes, the greatest manager of all time is Bobby the Brain Heenan. You can actually find that on YouTube somewhere. If you type in Big Ray Hernandez and JJ Dillon, you could probably find it. But it's pretty awesome, man. But one of my favorite interviews of all time was AJ Styles. At that time, he was the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. And he, in fact, spent almost 2 hours with me, and at that time, my partner Andre Corbeil, my Canadian brother, and he just talked about life and wrestling and his kids, and it was just so cool to see somebody who was at right there. I mean, he was almost at the pinnacle. This is just before he came to WWF. I mean, WWE. Damn, that's old school. WWE, and he gave us all that time, man. He was just such a cool dude. But back to the original conversation again. AEW fan base. I respect their passion, but it's kind of like, what are you fighting for? And this is the question I'm going to ask you, Piers. Why do people, knowing that something is failing, and we can get into politics, I don't want to get into too many politics, but like right now here in the United States, and I know in Australia, you guys are having a tough time there as well with a lot of I'm trying to word this correctly because this isn't HMG, but let's just say ideology that maybe you and I both don't totally agree with, being forced down certain people's throats. And we know it's, and I think a lot of them even know it's wrong, but they still fight for it. Why? Why does AEW, why does that fan base, knowing that ratings are down, you got too many shows, your roster's too big, you have over 20 championship belts under one promotion. I know you can count ROH as AEW because it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same workers, but essentially, it's like, look, my take on it is, and I actually read an article that Vince did probably about a couple months back.
Vince McMahon or Russo?
No, Russo. Okay. And he was talking about wrestling marks and marks. Now, a mark could be someone who'd be like, you might be, you're from New York, so maybe you're a huge Yankees fan, for example, right?
I am.
You're a mark for the Yankees. Cool, right? But when the Yankees are playing like shit, you can admit and go, man, we're playing like fucking dog shit right now.
I just did that 2 days ago.
100%. Yeah. But like with AEW and wrestling marks, even if an angle's shit, the storytelling's not there. It's just basically shit, content. They're still going to defend it,
Right?
and they'll defend it blindly. No, and they have no idea what they're defending.
They don't. No.
And like when I was reading this, I was like, it's hit the nail on the nail on the coffin, like straight then and there. It is so correct. It's like, wrestling fans feel the need to defend things because they feel attacked. And I feel like now it's even worse because you have this tribalism. You have this social media where people can, look, the greatest thing in the world is social media because we can all connect with people all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing about social media is everyone has a fucking opinion.
Yeah.
Everyone can give it at any given time and troll other people and vice versa.
Right.
And I feel like now people are just defend it because it's like they want to argue with people online, or they're defensive about liking a certain product. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, and it's almost like an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Like, because no matter how like it is, they'll still defend. Oh no, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, no, like I love them. I'll stick around. Like that's what it is.
Listen, man, I've seen. I mean, I've like I said in the past. And I've said it many times. I supported AEW for the first year so hard. I wanted them to succeed, man. I wanted them to win. I wanted them to do well. I thought when Cody Rhodes went over there, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. I was like, all right, this is great, man. They're gonna give all these indie talents, all these people that never had a shot, kind of like old school ECW.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is the way. But then they started doing the same shit WCW was doing. Started bringing in this as soon as a WWE wrestler, and I don't care what any of you guys say when it comes to, oh, that's not really, this is what they did. Anytime a WWE wrestler got let go, a month later, boom, he's fighting for a title on AEW. Why? Why? I don't get it. Why?
Did you see that meme? And it was like the AEW starter pack, and it's like you get a photo with Tony Khan, imagine a feud with Cody Rhodes, and then you get relegated to fucking dark.
Bro. And it's sad, but it's true. I mean, see, I think the first biggest mistake they made was not putting, hear me out, not putting the belt, the first champion. I get why they put it on Chris Jericho. Don't get me wrong. I totally get it. But I thought the first champion should have been Hangman Page. That's what I genuinely think. I thought that was a guy that could have been like AJ Styles was for TNA. Mm-hmm. Hangman Page could have been for AEW. And then you can have him drop the belt to Chris Jericho, after holding it for like 2 or 3 months, and then have him chase it for a year.
I think instead of putting it on someone like Hangman Page, because I feel like that also could have been looked at as being quite predictable, and also him being the boys for the, you know what I mean? Like, I think that would have looked pretty political backstage. If
I think it would have been worse if they put it on Cody.
100%. And that's probably why Cody had the fucking smarts and like been around long enough to go, no. Fucking, you know what I mean? Like that probably would have been pitched, and Cody would have went, nah, fuck that. Like, no, I don't want it. You know what I mean? I think that's why he put himself in that situation. But then they put bad booking in when I think they, when he lost the match and he couldn't ever like wrestle for it, and like it's just crazy. But the thing is that really gets me is like, do you know King Mega? Do you know Mega? So he used to do a podcast on the MWA Podcast Network with Angel. He's a wrestler.
I would lie to you if I told you I did. I don't.
So a veteran, been in the business 20 plus years, trained by Mikey Whipwreck. He told me he was backstage, and it was like he literally was told by something.
I do know who it is. I know who he is. Yes, I do know who he is. Yes.
And he told me, he's like, bro, like I saw like I heard someone say to go, like Jake Roberts went up to a kid and said, hey man, listen, let me help you with your promo. Like when you do, and this person goes,
bro,
and this kid goes, listen, I got a contract.
Yeah.
I don't need to listen to you. I don't care what you have to say. Bye. And turned around and walked off. And Mega was like, bitch, what? Like,
bro.
He's like, what the fuck?
Let me tell you something, bro. it's so funny because to this day, like all right, I'll put it out there. My son, he just turned 15.
Yeah.
This kid is huge. He's almost 6'3". Very athletic, very good looking. Thank God he came out like his mom. And he is interested in getting into wrestling. He's been bugging me. He's like, 16, right, Dad? 16, right, Dad? I can start training at 16, right, Dad? I'm like, yes, you can. I'll probably take him to Johnny.
100% the best place to go.
I'll probably take him. More than likely, I'm taking him to Johnny because we're in New York. But anyway, even if I wasn't in New York, I would travel to take him to Johnny. That's how I know, because I know Johnny Rods is going to teach the right things. But anyway, so even to this day, I tell my son, I'm like, Pops, I call him Pops, just like my dad called me. So, Pops, I want you to study guys like the Macho Man, to study guys like Jake the Snake Roberts. Because I told him, I said, you can scream all you want, brother, right? And yeah, you can keep, you'll get a reaction and you'll feel something. But there's something about when you have a guy like Jake the Snake Roberts telling you how he's going to dismantle you piece by piece and not only destroy you physically, but mentally. There's a big difference. A lot of these wrestlers nowadays, they have all these silly promo, like it's like almost a cookie cutter promo. You know, they use words like "I will be triumphant." Who the fuck says triumphant nowadays? No one does.
Yeah.
You know, but if you just look in the mic and you're really angry and you just look up and you're like, I am gonna kick your ass because you earned it, and just step off, dude. It's a different feel. It's a different feel. When I get angry, when I personally get angry, yeah, I can shout. But my father always taught me that tough guys aren't big and loud. They're quiet.
Yeah, I got told the same thing.
They're quiet and reserved, and they come across the sweetest people, and usually they are until you push them to that limit. So I have my son studying guys like Jake the Snake Roberts. He knows at 15 nowadays, he knows guys like Ravishing Rick Rude, who cut a great promo, Bobby the Brain Heenan. These people, my son knows them all. And these kids nowadays, and I'm talking about kids, I'm talking about the workers themselves, the entertainers, they refuse to go back and study what has always worked. This is why it infuriates me and it confuses me that Kevin Nash is trying to bury, I guess, Eli Drake. I don't understand why.
I mean,
he has a problem. Go ahead. Let's converse about this situation, because I'm feeling that we have a difference in opinion. I'll tell you why I think Kevin Nash is wrong.
But you know what? Is he burying him, he's talking about him?
He is.
So in a way, maybe he's putting him over.
Is he?
I don't know. Could Kevin Nash be coming in for one last little feud? Maybe it's going to be, you know what I mean? Like,
this no money. Nobody's going to see that, bro. Kevin Nash, he gets in the ring. God forgive me for saying this, because I never do this. He gets in the ring, he always tears something.
Yeah. No, I get it. Look, I feel like he's entitled to his opinion because he's a veteran.
Just because he's a veteran doesn't mean he's always right.
I agree, but what I said was he's entitled to give his opinion because he's
that's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
I think it probably holds up more than some, random wrestling mark doing a fucking podcast in his mom's basement. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
Kevin Nash's word is 10 levels, 20 levels above mine. I agree.
Yeah, and mine as well. Like, I'm not saying I'm fucking anyone, but like, I feel like Mark Henry has made those comparisons a couple years ago about LA Knight, and to be honest, I can see little aspects of it.
Sure, why not?
But in the same sense, bro, like you don't see similar aspects. Like in other wrestlers, in other performers, you have Lacey Evans coming out completely ripping off Sergeant Slaughter. Like, you know what I mean? Like him coming out and using similar cadence. He's not coming out and going, if you smell la 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 la, and doing the fucking eyebrow and shit like that. All he's doing is it's deliverance of the promo,
Sure.
the cadence of how he does it.
Mhm.
I don't really think he's ripping off The Rock. I think he's just taking inspiration from that.
Sure.
But then again, I'm not a former multi-time world champion and Hall of Famer like Kevin Nash and Mark Henry, so they're gonna have a better understanding of how the business works than I am.
Wow.
But like I feel like it's not that big of a rip off. You know what I mean?
And I think they're making it too much of a too big a deal. Like let's be real. Let's be honest. If it wasn't for, and I'm gonna go way back, if it wasn't for Gorgeous George,
Hell yeah.
we wouldn't have Adrian Adonis. Fuck, we wouldn't have Ric Flair. Think about that. Think about these guys that have taken from Gorgeous George, who was the originator of bringing entertainment into professional wrestling. If we really think about this. Now, you can go with wrestlers like Dusty Rhodes. Who was first, Dusty Rhodes or Superstar Billy Graham? Daddy.
I think Superstar, but it would have been just by a few, maybe. Actually, no, he was probably around in the 60s.
Yeah, Superstar Billy Graham, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. Can't you see Dusty Rhodes saying the similar thing? Hulk Hogan, who basically took his whole gimmick from Superstar Billy Graham, but then you have
Nature Boy Buddy Rogers,
Jesse the Body Ventura. So listen, what I'm trying to say is that, Kevin Nash, I respect Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash has done more in the business than, God, forget about it, man. This guy's been there and done that. But just because Eli Drake may sound like somebody is taking this and that and a little bit of this from this person, I don't see why bring it up. Like, why make it like it's a big deal, like it's a joke, like he shouldn't. He's earned Eli Drake. Wow, LA Knight has earned this, dude. He's been in the business for a long time. I've been a supporter of Eli Drake since he was in TNA. Yeah, I think he was awesome with the dummy. Yeah,
I think his whole thing is great. Like, I like his gimmick. I think it was great when he did the Max Dupree shit. I was like, oh, he's on a one-way train to Burial Town right there. I was like, but that's where they said, and he even said in an interview, he's like, I'm 40 years of age, and they just didn't see anything in me.
That's bullshit, because so is what's his name, Gimmick Jones with the briefcase. Damian Priest.
Yeah, true.
Damian Priest, if I'm correct, he's about 3 or 4 months older than LA Knight.
But the thing is as well, it's politics. It's
okay. That's what it is.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what they would have said, but it could have been like, yeah, well, maybe you're a little bit too opinionated. And I always said Eli Drake, I felt WWE, he was going to go down the same path as EC3, where they just didn't know what to do with him. They didn't know how to book him.
That's a guy that EC3 is another guy that I don't know how they swung him. But it's funny, you mentioned politics. And this is the same bullshit that's affecting the wrestling fans out there. It's all about politics. It's almost like if you're more of a liberal, you're more of an AEW fan. If you're more of a conservative, even though WWE, if you look at them, they're pretty liberal. For some reason, people say, oh, no, you're a right-wing nut if you're a WWE fan. No, you're not. WWE was just fucking sponsored by Bud Light the other day, which is now considered like the most liberal beer in all of America. I don't know how it is in Australia.
We don't have Bud Light here.
We don't have Bud Light here anymore here.
Well, no, dude. But the funny thing was, like, we had like we don't get Bud Light here. We get Coors Light, and like we get Budweiser. But Bud Light, bro, when I was in America, man, that was my beer of choice, bro.
Really?
I like.
Sorry to hear that, sir.
What, you didn't like it?
Nah, I'd be lying to you. I'd be lying if I told you I didn't drink Bud Light. Listen, I'm a Latino, and here in New York City, whenever we had picnics or we go to the beach, you had either Coors Light, Bud Light, Budweiser. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always been me. I loved Bud Light, growing up, but my beer of choice was this. It's an old American brewery called Yingling Beer. I know it sounds like a Japanese version.
Chinese beer?
It's not. It's an American beer.
Really?
Yes. It's an American beer. It's Yuenglue, some weird freaking spelling. It is some of the best beer in the world, brother.
Really?
Yeah, look it up, bro.
Yingling beer.
Yingling.
Where do you get it from? Like, is it I
from the
got it.
store.
Really? So yeah, but I'm like,
No,
yeah,
well, if you Google it, you can probably get it. I don't know if you can get it in Australia.
it's
I would love
possible.
you to
It's
try
like,
it.
it'd probably like cost big money to get it in. Like you
It's
could
really
probably
good.
get Bud Light here, but it's like pretty expensive. like
It,
to
it's not one of the biggest breweries in the country, but it's pretty well known in the States now, and it's becoming more popular because of the crash of Budweiser and Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, Modelo, which is owned by Anheuser-Busch, I believe, outside of the United States, but within the United States, it's not. It's like weird. It's such a weird that kind of. But anyway, we were talking about politics, and
yeah.
politics, I think, have gotten. We're bringing politics into sports too much. Like listen, CM Punk holding up a sign, a pro LGBTQ sign. I don't have a goddamn problem with that. But I kind of don't want to tune in to watch anything political, anything how can I say this? I I don't watch wrestling to see the news.
Yeah.
I watch wrestling to watch crazy storylines
To
and,
escape.
and seeing people go at it and and wrestle and all these things play out. I don't want to hear about this and that and politics and liberals and right wings, and I don't want to hear any of that shit, man. I just want to watch my wrestling. And I understand that in back in the day, politics has always been a part of professional wrestling in a way, but I think it's like different. It's evolved into something almost toxic. Like back in the day, remember this, Pierce? When we were kids, we would watch Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
That's politics. We had to hate the Russians and the Iranians because we were basically at war with them in the United States or the Aussies. Who are you guys at war with? Nobody.
Nah, man, we're a pretty peaceful race, bro.
Pretty peaceful race. You guys
we
like?
don't fuck with people.
What about England? You guys like the UK? Don't you guys hate each
man,
other?
Nah, man, we're part of the Commonwealth, bro.
Oh, okay, so then why Jimmy T told me that the people from England, your Australian brother.
What, people from England? Well, do you know how Australia was formed?
Tell me.
So basically, we were like a place for like the England to send convicts to Australia. That's what it was. Like when Australia was discovered, it was like Captain Cook came in like just to wiped out a bunch of Aboriginals and just took over this place. And then this place, basically Australia became a convict land. Like that's kind of like the early stages of the country.
Wow. So how you guys become so nice?
I don't know. We just evolved, bro. Like it was like a lot of British that really started the country. And then I don't know, it just sort of evolved from there. But Aussies, we're like Canadians, bro. We're just delightful. You know what I mean? Like we're just fucking people.
You'd be surprised, man. Like, you hear shit about New York.
Yeah.
People from New York. And yeah, New York is crazy. But I'll tell you what, bro. If there was any city I would want to be in where I had a heart, something was happening and I needed help, it'd probably be New York.
Yeah. But that's your town, bro. Like you know every motherfucker around there though, right? Like you know what I mean?
Not
like
everybody's a couple of million people here.
No, but you know what I mean? Like that's where your closest people are. That's where like your support is. That's where everything is. But like if it was someone who wasn't born and raised there, it'd probably be like overwhelming.
You'd be surprised because I actually at my job we had these visitors from Germany, and they were here for a couple of weeks, and they were young ladies. And I said, "So how do you like it? Is it crazy?" And they're like, "People here are so nice."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh man!" So I looked at her. I looked at one of her. I said, "So they must be real assholes over there in Germany." She's like, "Yeah, well."
My wife loves New York, and she's like, I have to take you there. I have to take you to New York.
And New York.
But when we first started dating, me and my wife, and I go, you know what? I'm not interested because you see the things in the movies, you see this, and people being like assholes. I said to her, I don't really reciprocate that well, so I'll probably end up getting shot because I'll tell someone to go fuck themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's going to be the wrong motherfucker.
Well,
and I said,
it can go one of two ways. Either they respect you for it, or they'll stab you in the face. So yeah.
So and then she's like, "Oh no, people are lovely in there," and I'm like, "All right, I'm open to it." So maybe
it could be a thing where I'm kind of used to the toughness.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect me the same way. you know.
Well, the thing is, well, bro, like Australians are pretty straight up and honest people. You know what I mean? So
I
it's
know that for a fact.
we're a pretty tough bunch of fucking people.
You know, I love I've met quite a few people born and raised in Australia, and I've been working with guys like yourself and Jimmy T, and I've had some friends from Australia, and they're some of my favorite people in the world. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, man.
I love your country. I think your country looks beautiful. I'm dying to go there one day.
You gotta come.
I got to, I know, but the first place I really want to go is Italy. I really want to go to Italy. But anyway, we're talking about wrestling. So AEW, you know, when AEW, when they started going to their first, you know, like their first 2 years,
Yeah.
I had told Ben, I said, Ben, and this was on was it an Impact Attack? I forgot what the hell we were doing back then. I think me and Ben Hameen were reviewing Impact Wrestling. I said, brother, the way things are going, I have a feeling that by 2023, 2024, this company's going to be out of business. And
That's
I don't, what do you think, man? Do you think there's a possibility? I don't want it to, because I actually have friends, like people that I know that work for that company. That's something people don't know about me either. I know a lot of people in this fucking business on the down low that I will never fucking put over, that I know them or they know me, and they're good friends, and I've known them, even certain wrestlers.
Yeah.
I met them back in the day when they were like starting off
in the indies and stuff like that.
And they used to do my little podcast, my little shows back in the day. They're buried somewhere in the internet. And now you're like, oh shit, you knew this guy, you knew this girl. Yeah. And the reason why I've kept a good friendship is because number one, I don't fucking drop names like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are certain people that do podcasts that are like, oh yeah, I know this person, I know this person. Fuck out of here. Nobody gives a shit who you know.
Yeah.
It's who you are.
100%.
It's who you are. The reason why Piers Austin is doing well is because of who he is. It's not who he knows.
But you know what? It's interesting is like I get a lot of other people like, you know, podcasters are starting out and they're like, hey man, can you give me a shout out on your podcast? I'm like, I can, but it's not going to do you any favors, bro. Like Joe Feeney's someone I've known for a couple of years. You know what I mean? I've been gotten shout out on his show, and it's like K100. It's probably like one of the top fucking podcasts in the industry. And it's like, it's literally done nothing to grow my brand. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not a diss on it, but it's like saying like people aren't listening to a podcast and going, oh yeah, fuck, because they said for me to go follow this person, I'm going to go do that right now. Like that people don't do that.
I think the best way to get your name out there is to actually try to work with as many people as possible. Right.
Yeah. I mean, to a certain extent,
like if you want to grow your own brand, kind of like maybe, you know, make good friends in good places, good people, surround yourself with good people.
I think it depends on who. Like you don't sort of tie yourself to every sort of thing, but like I think that's important as well, like is to know your value and to know where you sort of like fit in and where like the sort of level that you're at. And you have to be honest about it with yourself. Like you go, okay, this is where I'm at. Like this is where I should be. This is the sort of like people I should be fucking with, essentially. You know what I mean? So I think that comes into a lot of play as well. But like, you know, early on when I sort of was breaking into doing the wrestling stuff, I'd take every booking I could get. And it'd be like, you know what I mean? Now it's like I'm more selective. And it's not because of any particular reason. It's just because like, dude, I'm a family man. I got 3 kids. I got a beautiful wife. And it's like, to go and just leave them every single weekend for me to go and do this. It's not, you know what I mean? Like I'd rather have weekends where I don't have to rush off up in between my son's football game to sit there the whole time. You know what I mean? Like that's the sort of shit that's important to me. So I try and be able to like balance that.
You know, I was watching the intro to your show, by the way. I was going to bring this up at the beginning, but I was like, I was seeing some of the older shit and I was like, oh, this dude's gotten more handsome as the years have come by. Like you were fucking like shit in the beginning. And I'm like, oh my god, look at this fucking gorgeous man sitting in front of me right now, brother. Man, evolution.
Yeah, man. This podcasting game is fucking taking its toll on me, bro. Right?
I would love you, dude. I would love you to see some of the old shit that I've done. It's so bad. It's so
Yeah.
bad. My first, you want to hear my first celebrity interview real quick?
Yeah.
My first wrestling kind of celebrity interview. So I'm gonna put a name out there, but it's not just to be like, oh, I know him. We've been friends for a long time, and this
Yeah.
was because I was working. You know what a doorman is, right?
Yeah,
And
like a bouncer.
no, all right. So I knew you would think that. So in New York City, a bouncer's a bouncer. A doorman works at wealthy buildings where wealthy people live in. You know, you hold the door open, you take their packages, you help them up. It's almost like a hotel concierge type of thing.
We have them at the casinos and stuff.
Right. But in residential buildings, you have doormen, and you establish as a doorman in New York City, you're not just like security. You are the concierge. You're like a lifeline. Sometimes you're a psychologist to these residents. You become very close to the people that live in the building, and they treat you like family almost, because you're the first line of defense and everything. I've been doing that for many, many years. Before that, I was a private investigator, but we'll get into that another day. But I got to know a gentleman who moved into one of my buildings that I worked at, and his name was Peter Rosenberg. You guys, yeah, the guy from WWE now.
Yeah.
So he was at that time. He was a DJ. Well, he still is at Hot 97 here in New York City, and I had no idea who the hell the guy was. He walked in, and I never forget when he walked into my building. He was moving in.
Yeah.
He had a WWE spinner belt, and he had I think a big gold replica.
Yeah.
And he's walking into the building. So I said, sir, let me help you with your luggage. And I just take the belts off of his shoulder and I take him and I walk behind the desk. And he goes, are you a wrestling fan? I'm like, I'm a huge wrestling fan. And we established a friendship through that. And we started hanging out. And my first interview, I went up to his apartment and we were talking about professional wrestling. And it's actually, if you type in Big Ray, One Wrestling, Peter Rosenberg, you'll find that interview. It's an old interview, dude. And we would do I think we did like SummerSlam recaps a couple of times. And then, obviously Peter, moved from New York and now he's working with WWE, ESPN. He does stuff here with the Michael K show, New York City, via satellite and stuff. But Peter Rosenberg, that was my first, he taught me some things. And this was after I got connected with Bill Apter, which is another story to on its own. It's like so many different stories.
I was gonna say, like, how did you get connected to Bill Apter? Was that like, did Bill know your dad? Like, was that how the connection established?
So it's weird. So my father. All right. Just I'm gonna put a little note here. Anytime I talk about my father, I get a little emotional.
That's okay, man.
I'm gonna try not to break down.
All good, bro.
My dad passed away in 2010. He was like my favorite person in the world. And I was the last person to see him. I was the last person to hug him. And I was the last person he said, I love you too. And I said, I love you to him. I had done an overnight shift. And instead of me going home to the Bronx in New York, I stayed in Manhattan because I worked in Manhattan. I said, I told my wife at the time, I said, listen, I'm going to crash in my mom and dad's. So I slept there because I had to do a shift, and I saw my dad, and my father was fine, man. He just fell asleep and had a heart attack.
Damn.
And I literally went to work, and there's a reason why I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
I driven to work, and no more than an hour, he was alive. My sister-in-law calls me, Ray, you got to get back home. Something happened. And by the time I got to the hospital, he was already gone. So that was a really hard time for me. I had gotten really morbidly depressed. And by the way, my marriage now, Jen, my wife now, this is not who I was married to before. I was married to somebody else during that time. That didn't work out. We didn't really get along. And she's a great mom. My ex-wife is a fantastic person. It's just sometimes people don't get along.
100%. Two great people don't necessarily make a great couple.
No. But anyway, so I remember I was very depressed. And at that time, my ex-wife she wasn't really a support to me. She didn't really know how to deal with that type of thing. And I got into a really dark place. And then I just started listening to wrestling podcasts when I was depressed. the first podcast, which believe it or not, I'm actually going to be working with these guys. I'm gonna be, Anthony Missionary Thomas,
Yeah, I've heard him.
Wrestling Soup.
Mm.
That was the first podcast I ever downloaded. Wrestling podcast. I know there was a whole bunch of other ones probably around 2010, but that was it. And I was like, I like these guys. And then there was another one, Don Tony and Kevin Castle.
I know Don Tony. I've heard that name.
Yeah, Don Tony, Kevin. So I said, well, let me go on this YouTube thing. Let me see. And I see this old man, Bill Apter. So I'm doing researches, and I'm realizing that this is the old man that I used to see him on NWA TV all the time. And he's the magazine guy, the Apter Mags guy.
Yeah.
So he had put out his email address, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I did a video in my locker room on my lunch break. I bought my camera into work because it was the most quiet, place. And I worked overnight, so there was nobody in the building. And I did a top 5 wrestlers who never won the WWF championship who should have, basically.
Yeah.
And I went down a list of Rick Rude and Kurt Hennig and all these guys. And then I sent that to Bill Apter. I posted it on my little YouTube channel, which had like 5, and I sent it to Bill Apter. I said, hey, Bill, I see what you do on onewrestling.com. I would love to be a contributor. This was my dad. This is who he worked for. I kind of know things about wrestling. And he emailed me that same week. And he remembered my father's promoter. He remembered my dad. He remembered my uncle, because my uncle was tag team champions with my dad. And we just started talking, and then I would just do little videos for him, like little 20-minute, recaps. I started covering, this is 2010. I started covering TNA.
Really?
Yep.
That was a good era of TNA too.
It was good. And nobody was really doing it at that time, bro. So I had started to establish like kind of a cool little following on onewrestling.com. And then I hooked up with this dude, Andre Corbeil. And I don't even know where he is anymore. It's crazy. This guy had a huge YouTube channel, and we created this show called the Can-Am Wrestling Show, and it was Canada and America, and we interviewed dude like awesome, awesome wrestlers. Like I remember we had Brodus Clay just after he freaking left the WWF at the time, and we had like we interviewed. That's the AJ Styles video.
Yeah.
We had all these cool wrestlers. Fucking Andre could not shut his mouth on social media, and he would get in these fights with these other YouTubers and stuff. I'm like, come on, man, we're grown men.
Yeah.
And we would get our channel struck down.
Really?
We lost our channel.
He argued on social media?
Because man, it was just like he would get in arguments with these bigger channels, and then they had bigger files. And they would start, striking down our videos. It was just crazy. It became political.
Yeah.
And I almost got blackballed because of this guy, and I had to cut ties with him. And then I said, man, I gotta really, I love doing this. And at the time, Bill Apter, he was really about kayfabe, Piers. Like he stuck to kayfabe, but I had an itch to talk about the other side of the business. And there was times I was doing videos like recaps, and I would be critical of certain things I would see, and Bill would, and I love Bill, but Bill was like, we really shouldn't be criticizing, just point. And I'm like, but this sucked. I don't like this.
But you know what, to Bill's credit,
yeah,
and not doing that,
that's his thing though.
But that's what I'm saying. His thing, I feel like that's why he's always been so respected in the business. And like, and sorry to cut you off there, but you look at the fucking Mark Meltzer, sorry, Dave Meltzer. You know what I mean? Like, and also that other dumb fuck, whatever his name is, Sean, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just come across like pretentious dicks. And like Bill was just a respectable, journalistic, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like if you critique the business and you're not a wrestler, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things you can critique a show, but when you start critiquing a performer, like, you have to have some sort of level of, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you've got to be somewhat involved in the business or
Sure.
taken a bump or gone through that experience to really be able to sort of judge that. Does that make sense? Like, you know what I mean?
It makes total sense. But
Yeah.
at the time, Piers, I was like, but I can't say
And that's
that
where
this
Bill
was,
got.
huh?
And I was saying that's like I feel like Bill always had that
Right. Right.
respect for.
And I love Bill. We still talk to this day. He'll still call me on my birthdays. He'll still wish my son happy birthday, my wife and stuff. I don't talk to Bill as much anymore. I love him though, and I know he'll go on record and he'll say, and I quote, "I love you in a guy way." He always says that to me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
He's a man's man. Don't get it twisted with Bill. But
yeah, right.
but we started growing apart, and I started doing other stuff with other channels. Like as you see above me, right? There's a bunch of banners here. This is a little family that we started, developing. It
Yeah.
started with the PW Hustle Network. Billy Ray Valentine and A-Track Brown and the Professor and those boys over there. I started doing stuff with them, and then obviously HMG Channel Attitude, but before that was WrestleZone, and yeah, Nick Hausman used to do a live show. So this is how I got hooked up with WrestleZone. Long story short, Bill Apter was working with WrestleZone, and Bill couldn't do a show, and I filled in once with Nick Hausman.
Yeah.
And we fucking killed it. And Nick invited me to be a regular, contributor.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And then one week, Nick couldn't make it. Now, there was a wrestler that was interviewed by the PW Hustle boys that so happened to be the guy that was my fill-in host, co-host for that day, which was Ben freaking Hameen.
No way.
It's great. You don't understand how this universe works. The PW Hustle boys, I'm trying to point at the thing. The PW Hustle boys interviewed Ben a couple of months before I even knew who he was. He just so happened to be my fill-in co-host. And then our synergy and our energy and our way of thinking and everything just fucking clicked. And then me and Ben were like, yo, why don't we tell Nick Hausman that we should do a weekly show recapping Impact Wrestling? Because at that time, this is when the Broken Universe started.
Yeah, that's a cool time.
Now, here's the thing. This is the funny thing. This is a true story. And Nick Hausman, we don't really talk anymore. This is a story for another day.
Yeah.
But Nick, you will have to admit that when we told Nick Hausman, we want to cover TNA, he said, and I quote, and Ben will co-sign on this, nobody watches that. Nobody cares about Impact Wrestling, TNA.
Really?
And then as we were covering it, it was like the number one thing with the broken, delete and all that shit, and people going crazy with the goddamn drone coming down. People, and our show is one of the hottest shows on WZ, on the WrestleZone.
Yeah.
Things went kind of south between Nick, Ben, and I because, in my opinion, Nick was very controlling over the content that he had. And, me and Ben would again want to be, more open with the audience and talk about what was, what could be better on the shows and just, that type of shit. Anyway, and Nick has a very peculiar way of telling you how he wants things to happen. I'm a grown-ass man, so if you're gonna talk to me, you talk to me with respect. And I told Ben, I said, Ben, I said, fuck this shit. Straight up. Ben will co-sign on this. I said, fuck this shit. We don't need him. We don't need WZ. Yeah, they're a great platform. Why don't we go out and do shit on our own? And Ben thought about it. And I think his original line of thinking was, I don't know, because WZ, they have a better name, we can kind of get the rub off of them. And he said, fuck it. And we started off, our first show was we took our show, The Impact Attack, and we just created our platform. And then I remember, if I'm correct, I bought in Rick Vickery, Mike Jargo. You know those guys, right?
Yeah. Rick Vickery, great dude.
I bought those two boys, and I bought in Matt Schaffer, and then I bought in the PW Hustle boys, and then all of a sudden we started, like all these little podcast channels came together, and that's how we formed Hami Media Group, and we created this family, and then through that we hooked up with unbelievable people like yourself. Pierce, I really admire somebody who takes something on their own, like you have.
Thanks.
And you know, you kind of bury yourself a little bit. You're like, oh well, it's not much. It's a big deal to me. Me watching from the outside, the work that you put in, the professionalism, the people that you talk to, the way you interview people, how good you are, and what you've done, bro. I didn't really come out and tell you this. Like, I mean, I was happy for you, but you don't know how fucking proud I was to see that you had that break with Impact Wrestling.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. It
No,
really
I'm
does.
serious.
Yeah.
I'm coming from a genuine place. It brought joy to my heart. You know, guys like Bulletproof Blake Troop, that's another guy I bought in. He just was an MMA guy, and he and I would argue on Twitter, fight, and I thought I could kick his ass. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Little did I know.
Yeah.
And when I brought him into HMG, you know, I'll just say some of the higher up guys were like, oh, I don't like this guy. There's something wrong. I said, no, he's great. Bulletproof Blake Troop. I'm gonna use this terminology again. We'll sign off on this. I fought for him, bro. And now he's on NWA TV. He's doing MMA commentary, and it's like, your audience may not know who I am, but I'll tell you what, you probably know a lot of people that I've worked with behind the scenes,
100%.
because remember when WWE did that ECW video, and they were talking about Paul Heyman was talking about how Terry Funk just wanted to put guys over. He was like, I'll work with him. I'll make him look good.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always loved to do, Piers. I love to find talents and just mold them and work with them and then just fucking throw them out into the wild and see if they fly and shit. And it's like, I love that shit. I love helping people. And I guess I got that from my dad.
Yeah, man.
My dad was a pastor. He loved people, man. And I just love doing that, man. I love working with good people. Ben Hameen always says, good people always find each other.
Hell yeah. He's right, man. He's right. And thanks, man. Like, I appreciate the kind words, man. And you know, that impact thing, bro. Like, you know, it's funny, like, you know, you brought that up because I was actually talking about this earlier at the show I was at, and someone was asking me about it. And this was like where it was at was 4 hours drive from Sydney. So I was like, I'm taking my wife and we're staying overnight down there for the show. So me and my wife drove down there. She went to drop me off at the building early, and we got there, and she's like, I sat there and I looked at her and I went, I don't belong here. Let's bounce. And like I said, I'm out. Like, I don't want to be like, I don't belong here. This is like, I'm out of my depth. I should not be here. And she looked at me, and like, this is the thing about what we mentioned earlier, how like Vito's wife being a down one, same as my wife. And I'm sure Jen is the same, right?
Yep.
My wife looked at me. She goes, get your ass out of the fucking car. You are here because you earned this fucking moment. Now go in there and show them why they chose you. And that's all I needed, was like to be told that. And I was just like, fuck. Like, if you weren't here, like, what would have I done? Like, would I have just would I just be like, I'm bouncing? Like, I doubt I would have, like, but like, it was like, I really felt like I was just like, you know what I mean? Like that imposter syndrome shit. Like it was like, it was wild, bro. It was just like, I don't like it came over me, and she was just like, nah, you get out of your fucking head.
Man, let me tell you, bro, that shit hit my heart real good, in a good way, because my wife is that rock for me, man. You know, there's times that I say, honey, I can't do this. And, you know, you're with that person that, in my opinion, God put in your life to be that pillar, to be the roots to your tree, you know, and together you guys are able to bear fruit. And the fruit of your labor was, and I'm going to say this right now. I don't know if this is prophetic or if this is me speaking emotionally, but I genuinely feel that this is just the beginning for you. I do feel that if you put in a little more work and keep doing what you're doing and push a little harder, that you're going to be in a place where I just hope you remember me.
Oh, fuck off, dude.
I'm serious, dude.
Come
I'm
on,
really,
man. You're my
I,
boy.
bro. I'm really,
I'm no one.
really serious, and I'm blessed enough to know that there are a lot of really good people. A lot of good people. I'll mention one person. I'll throw a name out, and a lot of people don't like him, but I know him. He's a good guy, uh, and he gets his shit in too much. He knows it. But Brian Cage, I had my first interview with him when he was a skinny indie worker, just making a name for himself, and then he started blowing up, both physically and in the ring and stuff. And I think I told him on air, like, dude, I see you. You're gonna be doing some really cool shit. And then he married a wonderful woman.
Yeah.
His wife, he loves his wife, bro. That's not fake. That's real. They love each other like crazy. And it's just good to see, man. I like when good people like you telling me that and seeing what you did on Impact Wrestling. I was so proud, man. I was like, I know that dude. I was like, I know that guy. That guy is cool, man. Even when I see like Bill Apter, and this is another thing, man. With Bill, even when I see him on A&E or in WWE and stuff, and this is just Uncle Bill to me and shit. But I always wonder. I'm like, they have a celebrity wing in the WWE Hall of Fame, right?
They definitely do.
And they let a referee in for the first time. I forgot the gentleman's name.
Tim White.
Tim White, yeah, Timmy. They let Tim White in, who apparently was a very loved individual in the wrestling business, very respected. And if you're gonna put in a journalist, I think Bill has to be number one over Dave Meltzer, over Sean Ross, over any. I mean,
Bill Apter's been around for so long. He deserves that spot, man. Like
Wade Keller, all those guys. Bill Apter is number one. Yeah. And even if they just put one person in, and my fear has always been that they're gonna put him in after he's gone. Yeah, he's not getting any younger, man.
That's kind of the thing that I felt with like Vader as well. Like, man, just he couldn't have given him his flowers when he was alive. Like
that one hurt.
Yeah, bro. Like even like to a certain extent, bro. Like that sort of thing. I feel like maybe I don't know. Like, is it like? Do these guys feel like that's a big deal? Like, is that a thing? Like, because you know what I mean? Like when it's like, oh yeah, you win a belt, it's like, yeah, it's a fucking prop or whatever it is. And the older school guys probably think of it like that, and probably that mentality is probably changed from the business. But like, do you think that like the older school guys really appreciate it? Like, yeah, man, like that's I'm getting my fucking recognition that night.
If not only that, they also appreciate the check that comes with it.
Yeah,
right.
And the big fucking $50,000 ring as well.
You get a Legends deal, and then that also ups. If you're a WWE Hall of Famer, you go to a signing. You're making money, dude. T-shirts. You're signing fucking pictures of yourself. You're a WWE Hall of Famer. You're made, dude. People will say what they want to say about being a WWE Hall of Famer. I still am a big proponent and a big, like, I really want them to establish a physical place, and I think it will happen. There were rumblings about them working with Disney to have in Florida to have a physical Hall of Fame. And this is why I think, that TV show that they have where they're collecting all this shit, where they sending Booker T to find like the Undertaker's jockstrap or whatever the fuck,
hidden treasures and shit.
Yeah, the hidden treasures. I think they're eventually going to build a physical Hall of Fame. That would be cool.
Well, dude, they've got that warehouse which has so much shit in it. Like they've got the SmackDown big. Like I used to watch
Fist, right?
Yeah, like I used to watch this YouTube thing, which was like the warehouse of WWE, and it was like, because I think that's fucking cool as shit, like those sort of artifacts and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'd give my left leg to just go through that place and just like give me an hour in there. Like, I think any wrestling fan would, but that sort of stuff is cool. And I think actually having a physical Hall of Fame is then creating almost like a WWE theme park. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like that when then that's a tourist destination. Hey, you go to like wherever they have it. Like, I feel like it would have to be somewhere, either New York or, Stanford or
They
something like
they
that.
tried the New York thing, the WW. Oh man, I have a funny story about. Remember,
Is
so
it the restaurant, right in like the early 2000s, the
all right, so
WWE New York.
I hope Jen doesn't watch this part. Here we go. So back then, when they opened up the WWF restaurant in Times Square, it was called the World, if I'm correct, if I remember the World, or they changed it to World. No, WWF. What was the WWF something?
I thought it
Anyway,
was WWF New York.
that's what it was. WWF
Yeah.
New York, but then it became the World. It became a club after that. But anyway, neither here nor there. So I was working at New York University. You know NYU? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, so I was a young kid. I was 20 years old, dude. I was doing security there. We had like campus police officers.
Yep.
And I was a young, in shape Latino campus police officer, bro, surrounded by all of these girls my age from all over the world, bro. I was going fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, there was this one young lady, and she was from another state, blonde hair, blue eyes, just gorgeous. She happened to be a manager at the WWF restaurant.
No. Oh, that's your in right there, baby.
So needless to say, not I mean I didn't get into a physical friendship with her just because of that, but there were perks. So me and my boys would go there every Monday night to watch Raw.
Yeah.
And she would have us sit down at the bottom. You know when they had the Tough Enough shit, we were there, right there in
Yeah, when
front.
they did the broadcast stuff. Yeah.
I got to meet some cool people, man. And one of the coolest, I got to meet Triple H, China, Kane, all these guys that came to the restaurant. But you know who was the nicest person that we met? Like just a sweetheart, so soft spoken. I like to preface, I'm from New York, so soft spoken, just smiling. And when I met, I was like, this guy's a fucking sweetheart. Fucking Rhino.
Really?
Bro, Rhino was so nice. He was so nice. And you could see, when you look into somebody's eyes and they just have kind eyes.
Yeah, just
bro, he was so nice, so appreciative of everyone around him. And there's a buddy of mine, a really close friend of mine. Tommy Wonder, the guy that does that works with that's a podcast I've been producing forever. Yeah. It's called the Pro Wrestling Reflection. It's with the Professor and Tommy Wonder. Tommy Wonder is a wrestler. He's wrestled all over the world. He's actually worked for WWE for a short time.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, man, it's a great podcast, guys. You should really check it out. Pro Wrestling Reflection. Tommy, where was I going with this? What was I talking about? Jesus Christ. PTSD.
You were talking about you were working on producing the podcast, the wrestling one.
Jesus Christ.
We got confused.
I got punched in the head a whole bunch. I was talking about the restaurant and stuff like that. I was talking about
the WWF restaurant, and then
we were talking about nice guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay, this is it. So Tommy actually came up with Scott D'Amore, Rhino, Edge. Yeah. They're all boys. The guy that does my podcast is boys with all those guys. And I had told him the story, and he was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Rhino's just like a really good dude." And you see him on ECW, looks like a fucking killer. His eyes all crazy in TNA. Just one of the nicest men. And again, it's the old adage, the crazier, heelish wrestler. They're just fucking like sweet. Like, come on, let's just talk. You and I. Nobody else is here, right?
Yeah, no one's listening right now.
Let's just be honest, man. Ben Hameen is just the best individual. Like just a 100%. Great person, right? Like talk to me about Ben Hameen.
Dude, honestly, like I feel like Ben is someone who I met, and like he didn't know me from a bar of soap, but he obviously saw the work that I put in, and I'm one of the I just have always had this work ethic. It's like if I'm doing something, I'm 100%. Like I don't do 50% of nothing, and I think he saw that. But like, dude, honestly, he has just he gives me honest feedback about shit. But like the fact that he'll care, like even like for a promo, for example, the first promo ever done, he was like, not gonna lie, that was pretty rough. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, but this is what you did really, really well. and he wanted to make sure that it was like something positive, that I didn't just go, fuck, I just shit myself. He was like, no, you did this really well. You did this really well.
Mhm.
Like actual points to go, okay, he's really paid attention and watched this. And then he's like, this is where you need to work. And it's like, cool. But like he is, man, like he may look like a big bad motherfucker, bro, which he
And
is.
he is a big bad motherfucker. Don't get it twisted. He will
Yeah,
knock your head the fuck off.
100%.
Straight
But
up.
like, if he cares about you and he sees like, you know, like something in you or whatever it is, bro, like he will give you the shirt off his back. He will give you that time of day because he wants to see you succeed. And it's like he's not really like, oh man, I'm fucking jealous of this person's success or whatever. He's just like, here's him, man. He's just a man's man, you know, chop wood, carry water, as he'd put it. So yeah, man, I can't put Ben over enough, dude. Just one of the nicest people in the world.
People like Strangler Steve King, just a wealth of knowledge. One of my I don't know if Steve's going to listen to this, and Steve is just an incredibly nice guy, just a good man if he likes you. The vet, Jamie Williams, my co-host. Now I know the vet may listen to this, may not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. I've said this to Jamie. I've said this to the vet 1,000 times already. I said the day that NXT is no more, and if there is no podcast, I'm not doing it no more. I don't want to do a podcast if I'm not doing it with him. Because his wealth of knowledge, the way he breaks things down, his fucking like he's just real. And I have we go back and forth a lot on and off air, but I have so much respect for the vet. And I could see why because Ben respects the vet as well. And yeah, maybe he wasn't on TV and shit, but this guy was trained by Rip Rogers. This guy knows the wrestling business, and he is just a smart, funny. His dry sense of humor is some of my favorite. He's
very straight though, like when he's talking to you, and it's like
that's the way he is.
Yeah,
that's the way. And it's not a work. I have no idea where he's from. Well, I kind of have an idea, but we always joke that I know of the vet. Nobody ever knows the vet; they know of him. Yeah. But I think the vet Jamie Williams is possibly one of the best people, and just a good guy too, man. And he won't work with you if he don't like you, and if he doesn't like you, he'll tell you why he doesn't like you. He's told me certain things that he doesn't like, and I'll fix them, or I'll be stubborn. I won't change them, but the vet is a great person. And this is all, again, we go back again, just surround yourself with really good people, man. People that really care, that know the business. If you want to do something, if you want to sell hot dogs in the street, right? Let's just say you want to open up a food cart, right? Yeah. What do? Well, you reach out and you learn from people that have been doing it for many years, who have good customer service experience, that are friendly, that are kind. People love going to them. Look at ODB, what she's doing right now with her food truck.
Bro, like she's doing something like completely. You know what I mean? Like awesome. that's like true, like what do you call that? You know what I mean? Like that's no, I don't. What's the word? That's like almost a true grifter. You know what I mean? Like just going out on the road, like drive around doing a smoked meats and shit. Like it's dope.
She's just so cool, man. She's just such a cool chick. She's a cool fucking chick. And you just want to surround yourself around the best people you can. And I've had the benefit of surrounding myself with people like yourself, like Ben Hameen, Stevie Richards, who, I'm gonna tell this quick story to your audience, who and my audience has heard this story. One time during Christmas, and I'm gonna tell you how good these people are from HMG, this family that we put together, and I'm gonna put you guys over, and I promise you guys I'll never tell this story again after this. I was working at a job, and it was November. It was just after Thanksgiving, and I got fucking laid off after Thanksgiving, just before Christmas.
That's rough.
And I was like scared out of my mind. I didn't know what I was going to do. But my worry wasn't about paying the bills. I had enough money to pay the bills. I had enough money to hold myself over. My fear was that I wasn't going to be able to give my son Christmas. It's not his fault. He was a little boy. He didn't know what the hell was going on. And bro,
take your time, brother.
Big Sal, GGP, Stevie, Ben, a bunch of our listeners all hooked up my son. They put up a list on Amazon, and my son had one of the best Christmases ever. I will never forget that, bro. I'll never forget that. Ben looked out for me. Bill, Apter looked out for me. Whew. Bro, this is what I'm talking about. Like this pro wrestling community, we call it the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, can be such a toxic fucking place where, you know, I've seen young workers kill themselves over things fans say. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, this young Japanese girl.
Kimura.
Like, why?
That, you know what? Like, it's so. Like, I remember we covered that on Wrestling with Tragedy, and it was like, there's so many things that happen, and a 22-year-old girl who, you know, yes, you're technically an adult, but at 22 years of age, you still don't know shit about
world. You don't know like, your ass from your elbow, brother.
And like, we're saying that as a couple of old motherfuckers right there, but like, the thing is, you don't, and that's how toxic the world can be. That people that you don't know, that you feel like you can attack, and you can go online and you can say these things to, because they are a celebrity that you watch. They are someone that you look at and you think, hey, I have this right to fucking say whatever it is you want. And you know what, bro? Over the years of this, like, I've put myself out there on a public fucking thing. I live my whole life on the internet, pretty much like you do.
Me too, yeah.
And like, dude, I've had like trolls over the fucking years, bro. And, you know, a couple months back, I had one who fucking someone who didn't like a podcast I did, or the comments that my guest said. And I got someone saying shit like, what was it? You're a disgusting pig. I hope your children get cancer and die in your arms. And then you fucking, and I'm just like, are you fucking like, bro, I went fucking ballistic. Like, and to say that, like, bro, these fucking trolls that are out there in this world, bro, that think that they can message people that sort of hateful shit, dude, that just, like, what sort of fucking mentality do these fucking people have, bro? Like, what sort of psychopaths are they that you would message a perfect stranger and say that shit to them? It baffles my mind.
Well, then that's the power that you wield. Like, and this is what I'm trying to say. You know, we have this incredible ability to create such a positive community. You know, just because I don't like a wrestling show doesn't make me a bad person.
Yeah, bro.
Just because I don't want to vote for who you want to vote for doesn't make me a bad person. Just because maybe, look, man, maybe, you know, I was raised a certain way where I believe, and I'm not saying this in general, because I have family that are gay, and I have friends that are gay. I love my gay friends and family. I love them with all my heart and soul. Do I necessarily agree with everything? No, but I love them. I genuinely love them. But if I disagree, why does that make me bad? Like, why can't we all just have our own, you know, sense of, you know, like, why can't we just be individuals and just believe what we want to believe, even if it's wrong? I mean, my father used to teach me something. He taught me something, and I'll never forget this, Piers. My father says people always want to be wise. They want wisdom, right? There's a difference between intelligence and wisdom, and I'm going to break this down for you real quick. Intelligence, you can get it from reading books. You can get it from studying. You can get it, you know. Wisdom is something that is earned over time by making mistakes and learning from your mistakes and getting better from your mistakes. To be wise, I'd rather be wise, yes, but there are certain consequences to gaining wisdom, and it's okay to think differently. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from them, become a better person from them. Whenever my father used to use this old, remember, he was a preacher, so he used to use a lot of storytelling and stuff. He's like, Pops, you know, when you make a pot, right? When you make a pot, you know, a pot for, you know, for a plant,
yeah,
it starts off like clay. right? You're the clay, and the clay, you have to beat it up, right? You got to beat up the clay, and then you mold the clay, right? And you mold it into what the pot is supposed to look like, right? So now these are experiences in life. You're molding it. But then once you got it there, you have to put it where? Into the fire, into the furnace. Sometimes people have to hit boom, rock bottom, put it into the furnace to get it hard. And then when you pull it out, you dust it off, you clean it off, and you paint it and make it look pretty. That's wisdom.
Yeah, bro.
And I've learned something. Yeah, sometimes I go on YouTube, on Twitter, and I say crazy things sometimes, and I interact with these trolls, and I'm human. I make mistakes, Pierce, and I'm sure that some people say like that shit that they said to you and your kids is disgusting. But you have to really put yourself in this position and realize like what life are they living?
Yeah, bro. I look at it and just be like, how sad,
Right?
Like how, like your life is that miserable that you know what I mean? Like that you get upset about someone's words, that you feel like it's okay to then hit someone up. And like, dude, it's crazy because when I tweeted that shit and I shared it, like the amount of support that I got from out like the community of wrestling around the world was like on another level. And like both publicly and privately, that support. And I feel like that's where you were saying, like, you surround yourself with good people. People sit there and go, "Hey, man, we got your back," and that's
Right.
the important thing there. But going back to these trolls, bro, like it really doesn't. I don't understand it, bro. And it's like it's almost like people do things to get a reaction from you.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And you know what? It's like the biggest thing in the wrestling world is like, yeah, man, I'm going to try and fucking see if I'm going to rib this person. And if they fucking sell it, then all right, man, we can fuck with this person. You know what I mean? So like, what do? Sell the rib, sell it. Same with the trolls, sell that shit. You know what I mean? I've had people turn up on my lives and fucking try and troll and shit. Okay, cool, motherfucker. Thanks for the view, bitch. Now you're blocked.
Right. That's it. Block them.
You know what I mean?
You don't need the negativity.
And you know what? Like, I don't give it another thought.
Yeah.
I really don't. And
No.
it's, but you know what I mean? That's at a 41 years of age, bro, where I've, lived a life and probably thickened my skin up over the years, bro, to just go, I don't care what you think. And me and a buddy of mine, we have this simple saying, and it's like, if you don't feed me, finance me, or fuck me, I don't care about your opinions. So like, like straight out, if you're not one of my close people, you don't pay me, you don't feed me, and you're not the person I sleep in bed with every night, your opinion doesn't matter. Sorry.
That's great.
Yeah, man.
The point is one of the points I'm going to definitely use that. One of the points I wanted to make is that, we have this power to create such, a positive community. I know we don't have much time, but before we go, like, I really want to put over two people. First, I got to put over April Hunter.
Great lady.
I do this show called The A Show with her. Well, we do talk politics, and we try, I lean more towards the negative stories. She tries to, no, Ray, we need to interject more, positive shit. But we had this cool woman that she is an expert on extraterrestrials and shit. And we like, it's so cool. We had a comic book guy, unbelievable. April Hunter gets attacked incredibly on social media because number one, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Number two, she's fit. Number three, she has big, fake boobs. And people think, that she's an idiot. She's one of the smartest, kindest, genuine, real people. I love that woman. She is my homie. She is my friend. And that's somebody that gets a lot of negativity that she doesn't deserve.
But I feel like that's the thing. It's like, it's negativity because it comes from jealousy, bro.
Yeah, of course.
They see someone like her. They see someone succeeding, bro.
Mhm.
And the best way I saw this the other day, and it's like, you see people that are succeeding, and then someone comes and tells everyone what they were doing back in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. But in April's case, it's like, as you said, beautiful, intelligent, intellectual
Yes.
woman. So then people go, how can I tear this person down?
Right.
How can I bring her down to my level?
Oh, your boobs are fake. You wrestle. You did oil wrestling or the fuck. Yeah, you're a model. How smart can you be? Fuck off. What
Bro,
do you got? What do you guys
she's
say?
been
Piss
wrestling,
off.
bro, she's been wrestling for years. I remember like back when I was like a late teenager, probably 17, 18, getting the wrestling magazines here.
Mm.
And like that was how like you start knowing about the indies over
Yep.
the States
Mhm.
around that time. It's like, oh wow, like April Hunter, she was with Slick Wagner Brown.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like, and I remember seeing this duo, and they were doing shit like not anyone was doing at the time, bro. Like, and that's the first time I saw her, and then like started to sort of interact with you guys and stuff like that. Which me and her still need to hook up and get a podcast done
I
as well.
can. I can get. I can make that definitely happen for you.
Dude, I'm sure you can, bro. We'll get it
But
done, bro.
I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story about, and before we go, about how beautiful this internet can be, and this wrestling community can be, and I met a guy. His name is Bill Schuyler, and he was just an old school wrestling fan, just like you and I. And he used to, be one of the guys that would comment all the time and stuff. And then I did a Skype call. Skype. This is how old it is. A Skype call with him, and we became friends, like on the internet. We became friends, like real friends. I remember I
Yeah,
was sick. He was calling me every day. His kids knew who I was. He was
that's
what's that?
that's so cool.
Yeah, he was what do you call the police officers in jail? Jesus Christ.
Screws,
He's one of the the police in the prisons. He was a
prison guard, prison guard.
he was a prison guard here in New Jersey, and we became fast friends, and we started doing a ton of stuff together. He started doing stuff for onewrestling.com, and this is I'm gonna show you a picture. So we knew each other. We worked together for years, for almost 4 or 5 years. And you know what's funny? We became really close friends. We never met. We never
Really?
physically met. No, until this day where we all met at Bill Apter's house. I'm gonna try to. I hope they can see this picture. I'm gonna try to pull it up here. Oh, it's not gonna be great. Can you see that picture?
Yeah,
Kind
yeah.
of.
Let me bring it up. I'll make a big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. So this is that's Bill Schuyler right there with the red shirt. I'm moving
yeah.
back a little bit. That's Bill Apter in the middle. We're doing the old Road Warrior pose. That's me there, right? This is
Jeez,
the
look at you, man. That's like, have you got hair there?
yeah. I actually do have hair. I just shaved my head bald.
Yeah, same here, bro.
Yeah,
Like, oh
yeah.
no, I'm balding, but whatever.
No, I'm actually not balding at all. I just my wife one day I took it all off and she's like, you know what? I like you better with the bald head. So I was like, all right.
I can't imagine you with hair. Like, I can't see it.
Oh, I'll show you pictures. I'm gonna send you pictures later, privately of you with hair. So Bill, man, I remember when we met, we had this thing called Big Slam Nation. And it
Yeah.
was all of us. It was myself, the professor, 8-Track, Brown. We all went to Bill's house. My boy Fame Black, Bill Scott. We all did this big thing. I gotta send that to you too. It's so cool.
Please, please. This
And
is
we
great.
and we did it down in Apter's Alley. And it was
Yeah.
just a big group of us. And this was the first time. And I remember when I saw Bill Schuyler for the first time, we hugged each other, man. So tight that when you love somebody and you hug them and your arms are shaking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you're holding each other so tight, and two big, strong guys just hugging each other.
Yeah.
And it was just like such an amazing connection. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. A couple of months after that, I was at my friend's grandmother's funeral. Check this out. I was at a funeral,
Yeah.
and I get a text message from Bill. But it wasn't from Bill. It was from his daughter. And his daughter says, Ray, I just want you to know that you're one of the first to know that my dad had a heart attack and passed away.
Oh shit.
And I'm at this funeral, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. So I ran out of the church. I called her, and she's just like, his daughter. And just so you know, his daughter actually took her own life as well. I still talk to his wife to this day. We've established a very close friendship. Um, I miss this guy, man. This guy was just a genuine, good, old school wrestling fan, and we became real friends through this internet wrestling community. I would have never met him if it wasn't for me doing this. And I think about him at least once a week, believe it or not. And I still shed a tear for him. And you saying, "Oh, this is such a sad story." It's really not, in a way, because like I said, I would have never met somebody that impacted me so positively. And this is the power of this community.
100%, yeah.
You know, wrestling fans, we're a different animal, guys. People in the business, you know, the cliques, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the workers, the people like you, Piers, the ring announcers, the referees, you know, the fans, the pundits, all of us, man. You know, we can create a really positive community if we wanted to. Why not be a fan of WWE? Why can't I like both? Why? Why do I have to choose one?
It's like it's almost like you've got to be a blood or a crip. You know what I mean? Like just to be a wrestling fan, bro. Like you down with AEW, or you down with DE, bro?
You gotta be a liberal, or you have to be a freaking what do you call it? A Republican, right?
Yeah.
Democrat or Republican here in the United States. No, I'm right down the middle, bro. What I'm saying is this, man. Let's stop tearing each other apart. I was able to establish, like, can you imagine if you just, in your differences, just agree to disagree? You'd be amazed at the connections, the friendships you can make. You know, Twitter has become a very toxic place, and people are going to threads, and there's only a matter of time before threads becomes toxic. It's the way it is. Am I off here, Piers?
You're 100% right, bro. It's the same thing with TikTok, right? So TikTok really launched during the pandemic, and now it's like, bro, like you go and like there's people putting out just good fucking wholesome content that are just like, I don't know, like fucking foodies that fucking make food and eat it and react to it, and like I find some of that sort of shit entertaining, so I follow some of these fuckers and I should go and check out the comments. I was like, wow, people are just throwing hate on them just for this person enjoying food. Like, what the fuck?
TikTok got bad, dude. I started doing TikTok. I was doing these little morning coffee thoughts, these little funny things on TikTok.
I love those. Oh, great.
And I stopped it. I stopped it because I just, every time I would scroll on a video, I would say, "Oh, this is a nice," and I would look at the comments like, "This shit is fucking toxic, man. This is worse than Twitter. This is worse than Twitter."
Bro, like sometimes I do like TikTok lives, just fucking why not?
Sure.
And like I've done it, and it's like some of the questions that you get are like so fucking like so out there. But it's like as well, like you'll get people that'll just like throw bits at you, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how Twitch they send bits and shit, like they just do that sort of stuff and you're like, what the fuck? But they'll send you like, oh, your head is shining. Well, yeah, I mean, they're just saying dumb shit.
Right? Just trying to hurt you.
Fuck it, but like, then I just get off and I'm like, why the fuck did I just waste my time doing that? And I'm like, oh yeah, because I just made $100 in 10 minutes. That's probably why.
Shit, I'll take it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But it's just still, it's like we go back to, it's like, why? You've got to be a certain level of psychopath to do that.
Bro, I was attacked because I'm associated with Vince Russo.
Yeah.
Like really attacked by this Pete Housen guy on Twitter, at Pete Housen, if you guys want to tweet at him. But because I'm associated
with this dude, right?
but it's because I was associated with Russo, and the things that he said to me on social media, like, bro, you would never say this shit to me if you were in my face, you know? Like, how dare you? But then, you know, I'm starting to realize that, you know, these people have really, like you said, really sad lives. Vince Russo, take him for what he was. Do I like all the booking that he did? No. Do I think he knows more about wrestling than I ever will? Yes. My interactions with him, he, for me, a fucking sweetheart.
Yeah, I actually had this conversation not long ago with someone, and it's like people don't understand like
Don't know.
how actually like they like that his time in wrestling does not define him as a human, and
Oh,
it's
he's a
like
good man.
and like I'll admit it, when I was a wrestling fan I felt that way, and then when I started working with him and I started like developing a relationship, and it's like when my third son, like when my youngest son was born, and I tweeted a photo out, it was like, dude, he was the first person to reach out and say,
Yeah.
hey, man, congrats. When I was going through some depressing fucking time during lockdown, I did something stupid and I tweeted about it. Again, he was one of the first people who fucking hit me up and said, hey, what's going on with you? And we fucking text back for like an hour. And it was just like, talk. And he was like, talk to me. What's going on through your head? Like, you can't do something stupid. You have
People,
a, you know what I mean? Like,
people
just
can't
be,
believe that though because he booked a dildo on a pole match or whatever. You know.
yeah, bro. Like, they just don't get it, man. It's like, you don't understand the realness of certain people. And you know what, bro? I get it. I'm the asshole in somebody's story. Shit, I'm probably the asshole in many people's story, as you are, as everyone else.
Absolutely.
But it's like, I've even asked him, it's like, bro, it must get exhausting, the amount of shit that you get. And he goes, it just bounces off. He just goes, it just, yeah, I don't even pay attention to it. But it's like, it must get so exhausting.
I just really want, if anybody gets anything out of this podcast, think about the Bill Schuyler story I told you, and
Yeah.
how, and just look, like I said, this banner is not just a promotional banner. I made this for a reason, to show like the family that we've created. This is a family here. This Channel Attitude, HMG, the PWC network, the PW Hustle network, you with your network, Pierce Austin, other guys, Wrestling Soup, this is a family that
Mm.
we've created through, we don't necessarily agree with everything, right?
100%.
But guess what, man? We can still coexist and still put together some really cool concepts. There's there's these guys out there, these British guys. What is it? Wrestle Talk, Support Wrestle Talk. Those guys that
Yeah.
I personally think their shtick is ridiculous and silly, right? I don't
100%.
I don't like it, and a lot of people may not like it, but I'm gonna tell you why I respect those guys. They put in the work.
Mm.
Listen, I'm not putting them over for no. They put in
No,
the work. They've established their fan base.
and they stay true to themselves.
You go. They stay true to themselves. They're silly. They're wonky. I catch myself sometimes watching their shit, and I can't turn it off for some reason. And I may get shit for saying this. My God, maybe I do like them. I don't know.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, those guys over there have established themselves as something that people want to watch. I gotta respect them for that. I have to respect them, and people will shit on them. Pierce, come on, people will shit on those guys. Those Support Wrestle Talk, and yeah, But all in all, man, I think that this community, to wrap it up on my end, this community can just be such, and I've said this about 5 times already, but it can be just a powerful, positive place. I could only wish as a kid, Pierce, that we had this much wrestling on.
Yeah, bro. I wish we had as much access to this, bro. Like, dude, as a kid, we didn't get ECW here. We didn't. Like, the best I got was like maybe in 95, I got some ECW tapes from 93.
Right.
And then as the years went up, I'd get like a couple little DVDs. Like, I got the Gangsters debut in like certain things, and then like even the later stages of WCW, there was like 3 like shows that you could get on DVD. And like, VHS at the time, and I wore those bitches. Like, I literally was renting them out every week and watching them over and over again. But you know what? Before we start wrapping up, I wanted to ask you, bro.
Sure, bro.
There's a certain podcast interviewer that's out there in the wrestling world, and I'm gonna say it. WSI, Wrestling Shoot Interviews. Now, this guy, I want to get your take on it, but I find him very, very interesting.
While you're talking, I'm gonna look something up real quick. Go ahead.
Because I feel like his numbers on YouTube are so astronomically high. And then I go and look at his social media and it's astronomically non-existent.
Hmm.
Like, bro, it's clear this guy is buying subscribers and buying views. As a creator, what's your fucking thought on this, dude? Oh, and on thought on that, like buying views and subscribers.
All right. So he's buying views.
I think so.
You
I
think
don't know.
so?
Like that
Okay.
allegedly. You
All
know
right.
what I mean? I think that.
I mean, if the guy's buying views, who are you really talking to? I mean, damn,
Right.
that's, you know what? I'll put it this way. Remember I said I have to respect everybody's hustle,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're talking about him right now.
You're not wrong.
How many people know about him? Would you say a large portion of the internet wrestling community knows about him? You think Sean Sapp is aware of him?
Probably not.
Ryan Satin?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, look, to be honest, like Fightful's fucking gone and reported on shit that I've done. You know what I mean? So who knows? They more than likely could.
If you feel the need, see, all right, I'm gonna put it this way. I'm being very like cautious what I say because I don't want, you know, this is your platform. I'll put it this way.
You can say whatever you want.
I know, but at the same time, I have to have respect for your platform. So I'll say it this way. When I do the next level wrestling with Vet, we've got maybe 30 people watching at a time. Yeah. I will take those 30 people interacting. We talk offline. These people know who we are. We know about them. We know about their wives, their kids, and everything like that. I'll take that little tiny community of people who genuinely care about what we're saying and we care about them being there than having 500,000 no-name bots just for numbers and to get a couple of extra dollars any day. You know, I'm going to tell you something straight up, bro. My wife always asks me, you know, you can make more money off of what you do, right? And I'm like, of course I can. I've been offered other positions in other places where I could have left HMG. At the time when I was at onewrestling.com, I could have left onewrestling.com to do stuff with other people that were offering me actually money to do what I'm doing here. But I don't find joy in that. I know it sounds stupid. I earn enough money for myself to be okay and do this for fun and do this for the love of it. I think that if you're going to do something like this, you need to have a sense of love for what you're doing, because over the course of time, you're going to get tired of doing it and it's going to turn to shit. You're not going to, you know, it's going to become a job. This shouldn't really be a job. You know, this should be this is my passion project. Look, I'm on my day off. What am I doing? I'm sitting here. I could be fucking, you know, playing my wife's tits, which are immaculate. But I'm sitting here talking with you. I agree. They are. But I'm sitting here talking with you because this is something that we grew up loving.
Yeah, bro, 100%.
And my you know, and I'm sure you heard the old adage, you know, if you do what you love for a living, it's never work.
You never work a day in your life.
Never work a day in your life. But also, you know, if you're doing this just to get views, to get clicks, the self-satisfaction, like I would question myself. Like, why do I need to pay just to see a number of people that necessarily do not give a shit about me? You're paying? That's if this person is doing it. You're paying to have all these views. I don't know about that. See, and this is why you may not like him. You may not like this guy who I'm about to bring up, but and even guys on my platform. See, I have a pretty good relationship with this guy. I don't have a problem with him. He doesn't have a problem. Sean Ross Sapp. I know you guys don't like him.
I personally don't have a problem with him. I've never
on an individual level, as a person, forget about who he is on Fightful, forget about who he is on social media, forget about that.
Yeah.
I want to tell you individually, my interactions with him have been nothing but positive, and I actually like the guy.
And that's cool, bro. You don't have to dislike someone just because your homies dislike him.
Now, do I think that he would ever get in the ring with Ben? No, don't do it, Sean. Don't fucking do it. I don't. Now this other guy, and I'll mention his name, Billy Batty. I don't like him. I don't see, me personally, I don't see any redeeming qualities for this person. I think he's a very toxic individual. And there are other individuals that tried to work with him that were part of our family in HMG. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Who also are very toxic individuals, and they tried working together, and it just doesn't work. You know why?
Because they're too toxic. They can't. They're both fucking egos. Can't get out of the way to work with each other.
They're not family.
Yeah, word up. And but you know what? Like the thing is, like I'll tell you a funny story. Like Billy Barty, when I was running the MWA podcast network, one of the shows we had on was the Funkin' Kingpin show with Kiwi and Kingpin Angel, and it was like that's like the funniest fucking thing.
You talking about Funk?
Yeah, Alan Funk.
Alan, yeah.
I
like him, by the way.
You have to understand, like, what their characters were known for, like Alan Funk being like this flamboyant, like, sort of character, and then
Alan Funk he's a tough son of a bitch, guys.
100%. But that was
a real man
in WCW. And then you had Angel in ECW, who was like the gangster fucking, you know, king of the baldies. So I went, I'm putting you two fucks together and just say, and like the fact how they would talk. But anyway, I digress. That we had Billy Barty reach out to be on the podcast or something like that. One of our producers teed it up. He's having this conversation with two vets, been in the business. These guys been in the business 25, 30 plus years, like, and two hard motherfuckers, Angel and Alan, right?
Word.
This guy goes, oh yeah, mate, let me show you my Hulk Hogan tattoo. And you just see Angel and Alan just going, oh, oh, and they were just like, and Angel's like, yeah, that's interesting, bro. So how long you been a fucking mark for? Like, and I'm just like, oh,
Jesus Christmas, bro.
And this is when he was working with. This is when he was working with Russo, and I'm like, and I'm messaging Angel, don't bury him. This can be catastrophic with Russo. Don't bury him. And he's just like, and you see Angel and Duncan just like, I just want to tear this guy down.
Remember who I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast? You probably don't, because we've been all over the place. But people who just talk about who they know,
clout chasers.
He's one of those guys, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's one of the nicest people in the face of the earth. But I don't know him personally. But from what I see and what I get, and the interactions with people who I know and love and care about with him,
yeah,
I don't like him very much. So he is part of the, in my opinion, part of the problem. But you know, what do I know? I've only been doing this I don't know, 12 years. I don't fucking know. I've only worked with who?
Everybody.
You know, who the fuck is Stevie Richards? You know, what has he ever done?
Yeah, he was never WWE champion, I don't think.
No, so that means that he's done nothing in this fucking business. Listen, guys, love what you love who you love, keep good people around you. You want to surround yourself with good individuals that are going to make you want to be better and want to push you. And like, just like Pierce's wife, you know, where Pierce is sitting down in this fucking parking lot saying, oh, what am I doing here? And his wife is like, what are you, stupid? Sometimes it takes somebody from the outside to look at you, because, you know, I know when I look in the mirror, sometimes I'm like, I can't do this. I'm not good enough for this. And it takes my wife to tell me, what, you stupid?
Yeah.
My wife tells me straight up, she goes, I wouldn't have married you if you weren't good enough. Think about that.
That's some real fucking shit she's laid down on you, bro. That's some real shit. That's real talk, bro.
And listen, this is a woman who, prior to me, was how do I put this? She never really wanted to get married. She wasn't like, and I was very sour from my previous marriage of ever getting remarried again. But you get two good people together, brother, you know, that supports each other, man, and it can be a beautiful thing, bro.
You ain't wrong, bro. And that is honestly, like, once you find someone that has your back like that and is your support system like that, but also someone that's prepared to call you on your bullshit and not just like step on eggshells around you, but can be that, you know what I mean, be that support, but also be the person to check you when you need to get checked. And we all need to, at some point of our lives, bro, need to get checked at sometimes multiple times. You know what I mean? And to have someone that can do that, man, that's
Ben Hameen, perfect example. He's had it, before Ben, I had to learn a lot. Ben taught me a lot, and in retrospect, if I think about it, through Al Snow and through working with guys and getting to know guys like David Hero and Damian Nelson and those guys that have done what we want to do, like those are two guys, Damian Nelson and David Hero, who I got to know. Actually, Damian Nelson was my second interview. You know the guys, right? Damian Nelson.
Yeah, the names are sounding familiar. I'm just trying to think at 3 a.m. in the morning.
They had Cal Hero. No, not familiar with them.
Yeah.
So they had a YouTube show, a pretty popular podcast. I'm trying to remember what it was. Jesus Christ, what it was called.
The names sound familiar, but I'm trying to like picture
the PWR show, Pro Wrestling something.
Revolver? No, that was a promotion.
Well, anyway, those two guys, David Hero, he runs oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. He does the Blizzard Brawl here in the United States, and he's really good friends with Al Snow. Al Snow's like the godfather to Cal Hero, his son, who's in the business now as well. I've seen his kid grow up. Those are guys that did it the right way. They surrounded themselves with good people. Al Snow is a Rip Rogers guy. I mean, come on, you can't get any better than Rip. Have you talked to Rip?
Bro, you know what? I've been wanting to talk to him. So
I gotta hook that up too.
He's one of the most ruthless motherfuckers, bro. Like I've heard so many stories about Rip. Like
Rip is awesome. There was a 5-minute with Rip. You never have a 5-minute conversation. Let me just put it that way. You never have a 5-minute conversation with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I've called him, or he's, we've interacted on the telephone, and it went from like, hey, I just need to touch base on this, and I'm hearing stories about, him pulling his cock out, and 2 hours later, it's like, what, ring rats and this shit, and fucking how this business sucks, and fuck you, and I don't, and Rip doesn't even know me that well.
Yeah.
I've only interacted.
That's just Rip.
Yeah, it's only through like guys like Ben and Stevie and these other guys that I've been able to interact with Rip.
Yeah,
but lucky enough, Von Lilas, all those guys, just incredible. What an incredible fucking group of people that I've got to know, and to end it on this note, Piers, you're definitely, like I said, I don't know, I'm probably blowing smoke up your ass the whole thing. No, I'm not. I'm being very genuine. I say I fucking love, dude. I would love to come back on to talk about like with a more structured thing, like an event or something like that.
Yeah, bro.
I would love to work with you more. Hopefully, God, down the line. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
absolutely.
I enjoy just sitting down and just talk with you because we don't have time to do this, bro.
You know what, man? I do, bro. I love coming on and being on your show with you and Vet. Because
I love having you on. Vet loves you too.
Dude, like it's a great conversation. It's a great time, and it's just always fun. Like,
I'm gonna say something. Vet is very picky with who we have on as a co-host, but I'm like, yo, Piers is coming on. All right, cool. Like great. Yeah. You're one of those guys. Jimmy T is another one of those guys. Colin's not allowed to be on our.
The first time I was on Next Level was when Man Beast and Colin Wysong were the hosts.
Oh my god, Man Beast, dude. Man, good times, bro. What a good group of dudes, man. I'm very blessed and lucky. And listen, man, I love wrestling. Do I love what it is now necessarily? No, but I'm never gonna listen. Let's be real. I'm never gonna stop watching.
None of us are, bro. None of us are. But you know what the thing is, man? Like now, I watch less and less wrestling just because I'm around it so much. Like I need the detachment, because if I don't,
that makes sense.
Nuts. You know what I mean? But dude, before we wrap it up, where can everyone find you on social media, dude? Where can everyone find your podcast and everything that you're doing?
Oh my gosh, so much. So I did this little banner here because literally on all social media, if you type in Big Ray Hernandez, I'm there. So on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, fucking Tommy Wonder always says Grinder, which I'm not a Grinder, dude. Anywhere, if you just search at Big Ray Hernandez, and on Facebook, I'm at Raymond Big Ray Hernandez, and I always say that if you guys send me a request, I'll more than likely accept it. But the minute that I accept it, if you're starting to send messages to me like, "Hey, what's going on? Nice," I get weirded out by that. So let's get to know each other first. Before we start talking.
Posts and then like comment on some shit, and then we just leave that shit.
But yeah, let me just throw out real quick. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, subscribe. Let me do it this way to channelattitude.com. This is a whole conglomerate of a whole bunch of different channels you can pick and choose. It's very affordable. I think it's like they have $1, $3, $5 different tiers and levels. So much original content, replays, videos, original content you're not going to get on the internet. Vince Russo brand HMG is part of this network, so please check it out. A bunch of other really great stuff, and of course, Hami Media Group. You can search anywhere at Hami Media Group on Twitter, Twitch, everywhere. Check them out. I want to give a big shout out to my boy Jimmy T and the PWC network with Chris Ams and Dr. Jeff Lippman and those boys over there. Big shout out to you guys. They're just an incredible network. We work with them, along with them. They work with us. They put out so much daily content. It's incredible. I'm gonna give another shout out to my boys from Wrasslin. It's Wrasslin, WRASSILIN Wrasslin for Life Network. They're guys that they have a YouTube channel, and they're fucking awesome. That's another. I should have put them up there too.
I love their work, bro. They're dope.
Bro, it's fucking 7 days a week, like for hours. I don't know how these guys get laid. They're married. Their wives. I made a joke the other day on Next Level that while they're doing podcasts, you hear in the background the other room. That's their wives fucking with the gimmick, with the dildo gimmick and shit. Because I don't know how these guys do it, bro. And of course, the PW Hustle Network. Check out my boy Billy Ray Valentine with his incredible platform, Conspiracy Theories. It's America Unplugged. So much, man. A-Track, the Professor, Tommy. Look up the Pro Wrestling Reflection. It's one of my favorite. I love producing this podcast. If you go to my Twitter right now, pinned at the top, I put a full-length episode of this week, and they were talking about the Global Wrestling Federation's Supercard from 1991.
Oh shit! Okay,
it's in video form. Check it out, bro. I'm Piers.
I'm gonna check it out. I'll check it out. And
their podcasts are out there. So anyway, I think that's everything.
That's everything.
Oh no! Wait! The A Show with me and April Hunter. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Check out the A Show with me and the beautiful April Hunter, where we talk about politics, news, sports, everything, man. It's so much fun. Dude, Piers, thank you so much. My wife is waiting for me in another room. Maybe she made some pancakes because it's the morning over here. What time is it over there where you are?
3 a.m.
Jesus Christ. Thank you, bro, for staying up, this late with me, man. I love you, brother. I want to talk to you, not right after we get off the air, but I want to talk to you privately because I want to discuss some things, good things.
Absolutely, brother. Let's do it, man.
So anyway, that's it.
Dude, I'll tell you guys what, man, this is the greatest podcast in the world, shooting the shit uncensored. And you've been sitting here live, well, not live, but pre-recorded with Big Ray Hernandez, my homie, my brother from another mother, one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I say that about every guest I have on this podcast, but this time I actually fucking mean it. Until next time, take care. All the best. Peace.